Hi dear students, welcome back to the second session for the computer science. As part of the first session, we had just mainly focused upon refreshing your programming skills with a special focus upon the conditional constructs and iterative statements. I hope you are already up to date with your programming skills in these two sections and you have done your homework as well. As part of the selection statement, so 3 homeworks were there which was given to you. And I hope you have done that one. So that was too simple. But as part of the iterative statements, there were 3 homeworks which I had promised to solve for you if you are not able. And first of all, we are going to do that. So before entering into the nested loop. Alright. So your first homework was to find the factorial of a number. So as we have already said, okay, see the factorial of a number can be done by multiplying the numbers from the beginning. So all right, so that was already clear to you. So therefore, first we are going to solve that homework for you here. We assume this is only a program segment, not a complete program. So therefore, so keep closely observing this program to see how this factorial of a number can be solved using a looping statement. And we create a function which accepts a number as a parameter. We assume that this is a number for which we want to find the factorial. And definitely we need 2 local variables here. And one is a loop control variable. Another is a variable to store the factorial of this particular number. And this variable we have initialized with 1 since multiplication is involved. And first we will iterate the loop from 1 to n, incrementing by 1. Cool. And for your information, as you know, even we can initialize this variable from 2 also, since the first multiplication will produce the same result, and just for clarity purpose, we are going to make it from 1. All right. And as part of the loop body, so there is no printing statement which is involved. So just a simple statement is enough, fact star equal to I. And as you are already aware, this is a special assignment operator, and the meaning of this statement is fact equal to fact into I. So the value of I will be multiplied with this variable, and at the end of this loop, the factorial of n will be stored in this variable. All right. So now you will be able to display the result of it. So that was your first homework. I hope before seeing this also you have completed this homework. This is only for those students who need a special help. Now your second homework. So coming to the second homework, our second homework was to find the series of a particular number. Okay, our series was already here. Our series was x raised to 2 divided by 3 plus x raised to 3 divided by 4 plus up to the number x raised to n divided by n plus 1. So this was the series we had seen as part of. And when you do this series programming, so we will be just again the value of this x as well as this n, we will accept it as an argument. Let's go for it. We will create a function Let's make it calc sum. Integer x, comma, integer n. So the value of this x and n will be accepted as an argument. Now we need to use some local variables for solving this problem. And the first local variable, one is a loop control variable, integer I. This will be a loop control variable. And another local variable we will use to store the value of this term, each term. Okay, so there are different n number of terms here. So for each term, we will create another variable to store the value and another variable to store the total sum. And definitely this one will be initialized with 0 since addition is involved. Right. Now we are in a position to iterate the loop. See, the loop control variable should iterate from 2 to n. So that is our purpose. And if it is 2 and the part is 3, so definitely we can make it with I plus 1. So which we will see. So the loop control variable will iterate from 2 to n. So that is our iteration which is required. And for this purpose also we are going to use the for loop, which is a commonly used loop for many of the operations. For I equal to 2, we initialize with 2. I is less than or equal to n. I less than or equal to n. So it will iterate up to n and I plus 1. And as part of the loop body, for finding any series, as part of the loop body, our main task is to first find the value of this term, a particular term. That is, let us say this term, for example, x raised to 2 divided by 3. So the value of this 2, this is already there in I. And the value of this value can be very easily found by using I plus 1. So first of all, we will find the value of this term here. Term equal to, let us say, x raised to 2. So here we are going to use a math function. So the power function is there. I hope you are already aware about the various math functions as part of the Java class library. We are going to use that power function here. Math dot power of x comma I. See, that is already x raised to 2. Max dot power of x comma y divided by, so since if the value of I is 2, definitely I plus 1 is going to be 3. Now we have found the first term. And the first term, and now our purpose is to add this term to this variable sum. Now we can write sum plus equal to term. Sum plus equal to term. So this is what is needed to be done for finding the value of any series. Maybe the series and the other question might be different, but still this is the technique behind finding the value of each term and adding to the sum. All right. So that is what can be done as part of this one. So have a look at this one. And once this loop is over, this variable sum will have the total sum of all these terms up to n terms. And now you will be in a position to print the value of this sum, or even to return it as an argument if that is what the program requires. All right. So this was your second homework. I hope at least some of you might be able to do this program even without seeing this final result. So therefore, if not, just have a final look at this program. So before it gets raised. So this is how the value of any series can be done. Now, I will advise you to practice some more programs with the series calculation. So maybe you can create your own questions as well instead of this one, change some values. That is also one of the best methods for learning this program. And if you are comfortable doing just one program, so you yourself create the questions for you, and definitely you will be able to solve that program in a better way. Otherwise, you can also get the assistance of your textbook. So even behind your textbook, so many programs are given with related to this series calculation, and based upon these ideas, so definitely try solving those problems as well. And the main idea for this series calculation is, first of all, create a value for sum if the operation that is involved, and definitely create another variable called a term in which you will be calculating the values of each term separately and added to another variable. So that is the idea behind it. So that was your second homework. I hope it is clear to you. Now we move on to the third homework. Our third homework was to find whether a number is palindrome or not. As we have already seen as part of the first session, a palindrome number is a number which can be read in the same way from both sides, from left and right. All right. So you are already familiar with the palindrome numbers, and definitely the technique that is needed to see whether a number is a palindrome or not is to reverse a number. And in order to reverse a number, for example, let us say that integer n equal to 739. To check whether it is a number, this number is a palindrome number, first we wanted to reverse this number. Okay, all right, to another variable. Let us say REV equal to 937. So this is the reverse number which we have done manually. And if this n and REV reverse number, if these are equal, then it is a palindrome number. If they are not equal, it is not a palindrome number. That is how we can check whether a number is a palindrome number or not. So therefore, first of all, for solving this problem, it is very essential that you learn the basic techniques for reversing a number. Now we are going to discuss the basic skills that are needed to get these numbers reversed. So before proceeding to reversing a number using a loop, first we will just learn the basic things that are needed for this reversing technique. We will learn it with an example. Let us say that there is a number n which is initialized with a value, and now there are 3 digits. This is a 3-digit number, and if you wanted to have this 3-digit number, it is possible to extract each digit from this number. That is one of the basic skills that you require for reversing a number also. For extracting each digit, now we will do it just in the most simplest possible way. Let's say that we will declare 3 different variables, D1, D2 and D3, in which, so D1 to D1 we will extract this 7, and to D2 we will extract 2, and to D3 we will extract 1. That is what we are going to do. Now for this one, even your dry run technique is very important. So we have to see what happens with this variable n also. All right. Now let us first see. To extract this last digit to D1, we will be able to use the modulus operator. I hope you are already familiar with this modulus operator. The modulus operator performs a division and returns the remainder. That is what this modulus operator does. So D1 equal to n modulus 10. So definitely when we divide this 127 by 10, definitely the remainder is going to be 7. So that 7 will be extracted to D1. Let's see. D1, D2 and D3. So 7 will be extracted and will be assigned to D1. After that, we are going to divide this number by 10 again. N division equal to 10. And when we divide 127 by 10, definitely it is going to be an integer division. I hope you are already familiar with these two types of division, integer and fractional division. In integer division, there are not going to be a fractional part, so only remainders will be there. So as part of an integer division, the initial value of n was 127, and when we divide this number by 10, so definitely the answer is not going to be 12. Right, since it is an integer division. And again, after dividing it, now again we can extract the next digit to this D1, D2, D2 equal to again n modulus 10. N modulus. So 12 modulus 10. Again, the remainder is going to be 2, which will be assigned to D2. Once again, the same operation will be repeated. That is, dividing the value of n by 10, and when we divide 12 by 10, again the value is going to be 1, and now again the same operation can be performed to extract the last digit to D3, n modulus 10. Definitely 1 modulus 10, the remainder is also going to be 1, and D3 will be assigned with 1. See how this n was a variable with a value 127, and due to using these certain operations, we extracted all these 3 digits into 3 different variables. The 3 digits were extracted to 3 different variables, and this is one of the basic skills that you need to acquire for reversing any number. Alright, so I hope this technique is clear to you. So now we are going to see, suppose since it is a 3-digit number, we declared 3 variables and we were able to perform this task so smoothly. But if it is going, actually in an actual program, we may not be knowing even how many digits are there. So because it is going to be the user who decides the number of digits as part of a number, and therefore with a large number of digits, definitely we will not be in a position to declare separate variables for that one. So these are only the basic skills that are required. Definitely we are going to use a looping statement to do the task. Now we will proceed to perform how a looping statement can be used to perform the same task which we had done just manually. Alright, so even for any number of digits, if you use a looping statement, so the program can work for any number of digits, whether it is a 3-digit number, a 5-digit number, or even a 7-digit number, or even more. Alright, so and the program will be much flexible enough to work with any number at all. So for a looping statement, first of all, we will accept the number as a parameter to a function. We will see, okay, in this case, we are going to create a pure function in which a number will be accepted and the reversed number will be returned. Alright, so we will return an integer value, an integer number, and which is the reversed number of which is accepted. Alright. Get array. We will accept integer n as an argument, and we will return the reversed number of whatever number we have received here. So that is our task. So once this task is clear, definitely you will be able to find whether a number is a Polyandro number or not. And here our task is mainly, we need some local variables here. So a loop control variable is not a requirement. The main local variables that we will require is, one is a digit, to extract a digit, as well as to store the value of this reverse number, and the value will be initialized with a 0. So you will know the purpose soon why it is assigned with a 0. So instead of for loop, here for this technique we are going to use while loop as part of this. A while loop can be used for this one, while n is greater than or equal to 0. Why we use this kind of an expression? In our previous example, where we extracted each digit to 3 different variables, you might have observed that the value of n was divided by 10 again and again. And definitely, if you start dividing a number by 10 again and again, at one point of time, it will become below 0. Definitely, it is going to happen. So therefore, as long as the value of n is greater than or equal to 0, greater than 0, so this while loop will be iterated, repeatedly. So first of all, our first task is going to be the same things that we have learned as part of our previous example. As part of the first task, we will extract the last most significant digit. So the last digit will be extracted first. Digit equal to n modulus 10, which you are already familiar what happens when n modulus 10 is assigned to any other variable. All right. So after which, definitely we are going to find the reverse of this number by seeing reverse equal to reverse into 10 plus digit. Reverse into 10 by digit. And after which, we have to divide this value of n by 10 again. N division equal to 10. This is what is required for reversing any number. We will see with a try-run technique. After which, you will be able to return this variable RED reverse. So which will be the reversed number of whatever number we receive here. We will test with a sample value right now. Now we can use the return statement for reversing this. Return RED. All right. Now we are going to see how this program works with a dry-run technique. First, we'll give a sample value for this n. Let's say the sample value for this n which we will give for n, we will give a sample value, let's say 479. This is a sample value which we are going to give. And definitely there are some other variables as well, digit and reverse. So which we can store it here, digit as well as reverse. So these are the three variables which are mainly involved as part of this program. So first we will go for it. So digit is already there. The value of n is already we have given. This is a sample value which we have decided. And after this, once this session is over, we can also test this same program again with the different values as well. Digit is not given any value and reverse is given a value with 0. Okay. Now while n is greater than 0, of course, that is n is greater than 0, therefore the loop body will be executed. Digit equal to n modulus 10, 479 modulus 10. So definitely the value of digit is going to be 9. Value of digit is going to be 9. And now reverse equal to reverse into 10. Okay, reverse, the initial value of reverse is 0, 0 into 10. Again 0 itself plus digit. So 0 plus 9. That is the value of reverse is going to be 9 here. And the first iteration of this value. Again, this value is tested, n is greater than 0. After that, there is going to be one more statement, n divided by 10. N equal to n divided by 10 with a special shorthand assignment operator. The meaning of this expression is n equal to n divided by 10. So this is going to be, this value is going to be 47. 479 divided by 10, it is going to be 47. So therefore, again n is greater than 0. Again digit equal to n modulus 10. 47 modulus 10. Definitely the value of this digit will be 7. And again our reverse. Reverse equal to reverse into 10. 9 into 10. 90 plus 7. So the value of this reverse is going to be 97. Alright. So after that, again the value of n will be divided by 10. 47 divided by 10, that is 4. And again the loop will be iterated for a third time, that is n greater than or equal to greater than 0. Even now it is true. Therefore the loop body will be executed one more time. Now again, digit equal to n modulus 10. 4 modulus 10. Definitely it is going to be 4 itself. After that, reverse equal to reverse into 10. 97 into 10, that is going to be 970 plus digit 4. So therefore 970 plus 4, that is going to be 974. After which again the value of n will be divided, that is by 10, and it is going to be 0. And now when it comes to the test expression for this while loop, n greater than 0, this logical expression becomes false and the loop terminates. And see, when the loop terminates, the original number was 479, and now we have got just the reverse of that number, that is 974 as part of this program. Okay, now that value is returned from this function. And this function can be used from invoked from another function. So whenever you accept a number from any user, so pass that number to this function and store the returned function. So definitely you will be able to reverse that number and then check that number for equality purpose. And if both numbers are equal, then that number is a palindrome number. If they are not equal, that number is not a palindrome number. So these are the three homeworks which are solved. I hope these basic techniques were useful to you. And definitely, since the session is going to have more time, so definitely we will be discussing about the nested loop in the next session. Until then, keep practicing these programs. I hope this technique was clear to you. So definitely keep practicing. And this was only a sample value that was given to n. And definitely, once this session is over, just keep your notebook ready and then practice this. Go through this trial and technique with different sample values and see how this program works. And in the next session, we will meet again to discuss about the nested loop and its use. Till then,